What's up, everybody? I'm just going to give everyone a few minutes to get in here. I'll clip all this part when I send it out. What am I trying to say? Uh, Send it out as the pod. That's what I'm trying to say. All right. All right. All right. I'm here. All right. Who's here? Oh, we're up to 11. Now we're doing good. Turn that down. What's up, everybody? How are you? Not sure we should answer that. That was, wow. I feel like I'm really hot. You're welcome, Eric. No problem. How's everybody else? How we doing? Doing great. Cool. Double fisting tonight. Heartbroken. Tell me about it, man. Um, yeah, double fist. I got coffee and Mountain Dew. I'm just gonna give it to like 10:05, and then I'll officially, quote unquote, start. So this is just sort of me fixing the camera, making sure I'm in the shot. That's pretty good. Yeah, my Mountain Dew game is strong. I don't even want to guess how many Mountain Dews I've drinking in my life. Done drunk. It's probably really embarrassing. No Collins tonight. I'm going to explain that a little bit later, probably at the top. But we have two shows this whole entire season that we're not going to have Collins. One's tonight, and the other one's the Giants game. And then we'll be back to doing what we normally do, because but he's not even home yet. Like Brent's still on the road. Like he's driving. He has to drive like 3.5 hours back to Jacksonville. So he's still on the road. So we talked about, you know, waiting till he gets home, and then that would we wouldn't be able to go live till like 1 o'clock, and I don't think anybody wanted to wait for that except for maybe the West Coast fans, and this is sort of a venting thing, so I'm gonna go through my points of the game, and then talk about some things, and then kind of go back and forth in the chat, and we'll do that, and we'll start that like I said at 10:05. How's how do I sound? Can you hear me? Am I good? Am I good? I'm good. Okay, sweet. Sweet. Thank you very much. All right, excellent audio. All right, cool. All right. On other news, I am getting crushed in week 1 of my fantasy. I got Edelman and Breeze going, not Breeze, Edelman and Brady going, and I got Kamara tomorrow, but I don't think I'm going to do it. But I did have Sammy Watkins on the bench, so I put Adam Humphries in because I thought he was going to be Mariota's next best buddy. He got one ball for 5 yards. So, who we blaming the game on? Let's start with that. Oh, got 1 minute to go. 1 minute to go. 1 minute to go. Let me get my backup due just in case. Bucs are in a 3-way tie. We could be, in a tie for first after Monday. Yeah, it was a rough day for the NFC South, which, I don't know. It was just disappointing. We were way better than them. We should have won that game. It was a lot of things goofed up. All right, it's 10:05. We got who we got, and we're gonna start. All right, here we go. Am I live? Check. Welcome to the Pewtercast Instacast. Brent is so much better at opening than I am. I am Rendex. I'm going solo tonight because Brent is on the road from Jacksonville. I'm sure he's watching. I'm going to say, Brent, please don't get in the chat room and make some comments. Just get home safe, and everything will be we'll be fine there. But yeah, a disappointer one. I mean, this is what we get for I don't know how long we waited, like 9 months, and this is just this is the effort that we get, and it was kind of the same old Bucks in a way. I felt like the Bucks dominated. San Francisco, especially on defense, shot themselves in the foot. On offense. I mean, how much I knew Brent would say hi. Brent, please drive. Don't get yourself killed. Um, that drive where we scored 2 touchdowns and Dodd had 2 penalties, and then, uh, Howard fumbles the ball, like, that was a total flashback to, like, the Redskins game. It's like, "Okay, like, we can move the ball at will, and then, we're just gonna cough it up." But, yeah, this was a rough one to swallow. I'm gonna go ahead and start out with the, who to blame. Number 1, I don't think it's gonna be surprising to anybody. Jameis Winston. I have said on this pod and other pods when I was guest hosting that if the Bucks don't have a winning season, 8-8 or better, uh, or a disappointing season, whatever that may be for you as a fan, that it wouldn't be Jameis Winston's fault. But so far, he's proven me wrong. I don't care about the excuses. You don't throw the hitch route to Barber against Sherman. Look, Sherman isn't the cornerback he used to be. He had no interceptions last year. He got like 2 really bad penalties, and the only time he really made a difference was when Jameis just threw him the ball, and he almost dropped it. So I'm not sort of high on this Richard Sherman thing. It was a really bad pass by Jameis, and then the other one where he was trying to throw it, to Ogunbowale, and that's what really hurt because it was all set up for Jameis to sort of wipe away all the naysayers, and this is going to be Bruce Arians' Jameis. This is the new Jameis, the new Buccaneers, the new offense. Dirk Cutter's gone, and it was we had to go down, score a touchdown, kick the extra point to win the game. Had over 2 minutes left. On the very first play, he throws it like he just throws it right to the corner. I know he was trying to dump it, but this is year 5 in the NFL. Bruce Arians came out in the press conference, said, "Well, he needs to throw it in the dirt, but maybe if he threw it high, he didn't want to get an intentional grounding penalty." And I think he was in the end zone. It was pretty close to the end zone, so it might have been a safety. I don't know what he was thinking, but this is year 5. Like this is stuff you learn, when you're starting quarterback in high school. Like, you know, it's 2 years of Florida State. I don't know how many years he started in high school, and now this is his 5th year in the NFL. Like, you just can't make that throw. Like, you can't do it. I understand what you were trying to do, but you didn't, and you just can't make that throw. That's why people don't trust Jameis Winston because of that throw. It was perfectly set up. Like, just drive down the field, you got plenty of time, you know, you can spike the ball and you got all your weapons there and Quan Alexander's out of the game and you could have just dumped it off to, whoever I guess Ogunbowale now it looks like he's officially the third down back. You could just like we did Chris Rogers, just throw it to him, get 7 yards. Just do that all the way down the field till you get in the red zone. It was but that was really disappointing. The one to OJ Howard, obviously not his fault. But, that was like back-to-back turnovers almost from play to play from OJ Howard, 'cause that was weird. It was like OJ fumbled and, the Niners get the ball, and they didn't score a touchdown, but, like, they drove down and then moved back and then drove down and then moved back, and eventually we held them to a field goal, and now there's, like, hardly any time left in the second half, but, we got time to drive down the field, get in field goal range, if for big play breaks, we get a touchdown, that'd be great. But, one play, boom, it goes off Howard's hands and they intercept it. So that was like 2 offensive plays in a row where OJ Howard turned the ball over basically, and he's my second to blame guy. Um, he led the team in targets, led the team in catches, and, he's known as for this game to be, sort of the GOAT. We've been waiting on OJ Howard. Um, he did have like a nice catch on third down where Jameis rolled out and found him, but I mean, it's another disappointment for OJ Howard. Uh, you know, those are two guys you can blame the game on if you want to, pick one person to put the loss on. Also, uh, the third guy might be a little surprising. It's half of DeGraves, and it's not VH3. It was Carlton Davis. I'm It's a little bit of pass for Carlton because these refs who I would love to be able to put the blame the game on, but they screwed the 49ers just as bad as they screwed us. These guys were calling ticky-tack fouls, and I'm almost positive they got a call at halftime from the NFL because they were not calling the game in the second half like they were in the first half. But Carlton got a couple of costly penalties, especially one that ended up in the Niners' lone offensive touchdown, or it was third and long, and they threw it deep. And again, like I'm saying, I don't think that was uh, a penalty by Carlton. The guy sort of ran into him. Carlton put his hands up, didn't really impede him so much. The guy ate up the space and then cut right off him. You gotta, what are you gonna do? Let him run into you? But by the definition, it is. And if that officiating crew ever works a Ravens game, the Ravens are going to have like 35 defensive pass interference penalties because those guys are physical in your face, and that's the way that Hargraves and especially Carlton Davis plays, and that's what's made him sticky. Um, but he got some, like quote unquote bad penalties. I'm not necessarily blaming him for those. Uh, but, at the end of the day, that was the drive that extended to get, the only touchdown. And the last person you wanna blame it on is Bruce Arians. I mean, you should have, you should have went for the field goal. Um, if you're there to put your players in the best position to win, possibly not making your quarterback score a touchdown late in the game to win instead of letting this drive down and get a field goal, which basically now is just over. You just got to get across, midfield nowadays. I'm sorry, I got sort of a frog in my throat. I haven't really talked all day. Um, just to get across midfield for Matt Gay to make it, but going for it, and I understand if they would have scored a touchdown, I probably feel a lot different. But you know, take the Pittsburgh game into effect. Um, take where he almost threw the flag. Excuse me. Let me try that again. Sorry, everybody. Dying over here. Where excuse me, Vernon Hargraves was going to get, well, he did get the DPI call, and it wasn't his fault, but he was going to throw the flag, and the team um held him back. Basically, what I hear, he was like this, and coaches on the sideline were grabbing his arm and not letting him throw it. Uh, and then going for it, like going for it on fourth down after the field goal team was already out there, and you know I sort of understand this logic. Well, the defense was playing well and they held them down, and they did, but the offense wasn't playing well. So getting three would have been infinitely easier, for the offense late in the game. Sorry. this is this is terrible. I got a frog in my throat. Let's try this again. I'm gonna have a lot of editing to do. Um, so if you're gonna put your team in the best position to win, then kicking the field goal and making it and only keeping it at 3 with like 4 minutes left in the game was the way to go. All right, hang on everybody. I'm sorry. Talk amongst yourselves. I know you have been. I'm gonna have to really, where am I at as far as time wise? 14, 13. I'm gonna have to go get some water because this coffee and Mountain Dew is not helping my froggy throat. I will be back in like 20 seconds. All right. Okay. Apologies, everyone. All right. This water's actually helping a lot more. I had a frog in my throat. I sound terrible. Okay, so as the head coach and as BA said, you got to put your players in the best position to win. I just thought that was sort of the wrong call, especially the way the defense was handling the 49ers and how the offense was struggling. And a lot of it had to do with penalties, and a lot of had to do with sort of clunky play calling. It was really frustrating as a fan to watch that first half, because the Bucs just kept sort of shooting themselves in the foot with penalties or negative plays, or Jameis wasn't really sharp to sort of start off the game. Um, this is getting ridiculous. So, sort of to start off the game, and it was just a rough start. It's nothing, we've seen that before a lot of times with Jameis Winston. Um, so just a frustrating loss, especially the way the defense have played. I would have liked to see the defense get more pressure. They only recorded one sack, but I thought the way they played against the run was outstanding. Villa, he's going to be something special. He had a really good game. I know only if you look at the box score, only had 3 tackles, but I think 2 of those were like 10 yards down the field as he's chasing down screenplays and stuff. Um, he was consistently pushing the pocket, consistently getting quote unquote pressure on the quarterback. And he looked good. Sue got a tackle for loss on a 3rd and 3. Will Golston, what happened to this guy? All of a sudden, I know he only got like 2 or 3 tackles, but when they ran at him, he's really shown up as a early, at least, as a run stuffing DT that we remember him like 2, 3 years ago when we went 9-7. Um, he was a big part of the reason why the Bucks defense sort of had that 5-game win streak stretch that they did. Uh, so to finish off and kind of go to well, let's go to the good. Let's go to the good. Ronald Jones. I'm sure we're all happy with Ronald Jones. He averaged, I think, 5.8 yards a carry. He really didn't get rolling to the second half. I'm hoping like the clunky play calling on offense is sort of, more of getting the feel of what these guys can do in game. Um, it felt like, and like, this is Instacast, so it's a real raw reaction. It felt like it was uh, run the ball 4 or 5 times in a row, pass the ball 5 times in a row, run the ball 4 or 5, especially in the second half. Um, and I always felt like they went to the well just one too many times on the run. Um, but also, uh, Ronald Jones kept getting yards, so that was a tough one. But I really didn't like the play calling in the red zone. You know, and to jump back to Jameis with the play calling, we saw in the Cleveland game how indecisive he was, with his passes, pumping, clutching, moving around in the pocket. Same thing today. Um, and he's late. He's late with some passes, especially on those out routes. Remember the one he had in Cleveland with Scotty Miller where it should have been a pick? There was a few today where it's like, okay, I'm predicting if they don't do something, if the route, if the receiver wants to wants to make a step make a step to the inside to freeze the cornerback, at least get him on his heels or get him flat-footed before they make the out cut. Uh, then like 4 of these passes are going to go to the house this year because the ball is just a hair too late, or the receiver's not getting quite enough separation. We've seen it sort of, we're throwing out the Dallas game, so 2 games in a row here that these cornerbacks have really got the jump on Jameis's outside routes, or you just got to take it out of the repertoire altogether. Um, I didn't feel like there was a lot of crosses called, and when we did, they were successful, like the one to Godwin, the one to Howard, things like that. I felt like there was a lot of stick routes. You go to the sticks and turn around. Um, or just try to push the cornerback off and turn around, and there wasn't a lot of separation in there, and Jameis had to throw it in some really tight windows, especially early on. So it was just like I said, it was just really clunky. It didn't feel good. Barber looked slow. He didn't look like the Peyton Barber that we're used to. He did okay. I mean, he averaged 4.1 yards a carry. I mean, you're not getting mad at that, but I just felt like he was sort of picking and weaving his way through instead of just putting his head down, putting his foot in the ground, and exploding. And that's kind of what he does best. And the last sort of thing on the offensive play calling, it's like there just wasn't enough passes to the playmakers. Like I said, OJ Howard, led the teams in targets and receiving, but Mike Evans had 2 catches and Chris Godwin had 3. Like Peyton Barber had 2 catches. You know, Mike Evans had 2 catches. That just can't happen. Now I haven't seen the all 22, so I don't know what they were doing on the back end of San Francisco as far as maybe they were taking away these deep stick routes, these deep crosses, these deep outs. But it was either they drilled it into Jameis's head so much that he had to get the ball out early, or that they're just they have to figure something out to get those guys the ball more, because 5 catches total between Godwin and Evans. I mean, Godwin was supposed to have a field day. It's like, where's Sherman? Don't throw to him. Who else is there? It's going to be Howard, or it's going to be Godwin or Perryman. Like, there's going to be 3 guys that, San Francisco's secondary was terrible last year, and they didn't upgrade it at all. So we really should have been able to take advantage of them. Um, I thought the offensive line played okay. Run blocking was much better than it was, since we remember it. Um, the pass blocking was some guys got beat. Donovan Smith looked foolish a couple times. I thought the first penalty on Dotson for the Cam Brate first touchdown, I thought that was kind of a phantom penalty. And to be honest, I really didn't see the hold on the second one. Um, but I was sort of writing something down at the time, and I heard Rondé Barber up on the screen said, "Yep, that's textbook holding." So maybe he did. It was just all in all, we had the talent. We should have won the game. We were better than they were. The defense played great. It's just we could not get into an offensive rhythm whatsoever, either by penalties, turnovers, and I'm not counting the last one, um, because that was the end of the game. Uh, you know, Penalties, turnovers, or yeah, just penalties and turnovers. Like, the refs would not get out of the way for either team in that first half. I mean, 4 touchdowns called back on uh on penalties. That's unheard of. It's absolutely unheard of. And that was just in one half of football. I think it was in the second quarter alone. Like, forget one half of football. That was all done in the second quarter. Uh or maybe it was the first quarter. I don't know. But those are some notes on that. It was just it was a disappointing game. I get it. But I think there's a lot to like, as far as, especially the defense. I thought the defensive line played well. Like I said, we shut down the run. Um, I didn't think they had a lot of guys open, and Shanahan tried really, really hard to scheme the pass rush away, which would he would do things like play fakes, or play action where the quarterback would roll out naked all by himself, and then sometimes even throw back to the back, or they would do bunch formations and sort of just get Kittle lost so he could just get like 7 yards. I mean, it was they were going to dink and dunk to protect Garoppolo, from the pass rush. Um, and they stuck to the run just enough. But this game, the game was lost. At the end of the day, the game was lost because of Jameis Winston, because 2 bad throws, 1 bad throw, 1 horrible decision, and that was the game. So it just felt, once again, I keep using the word clunky. It just felt really clunky. Quan Alexander ejected. Who really cares? Just have to throw that in there. I talked about how indecisive Jameis was and how he's late on his out routes. Uh, so yeah, I think that's really about it. This show is meant for you guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and mark where I am. This might be a real short one. Sorry, everybody. 2509, and I'm gonna answer some questions. So if you have any questions in the chat room, go ahead and put them in now. And if you have anything to say, I know everyone's been talking back and forth to each other, but I'll go ahead and sort of answer some questions for you here. Um, who'd you like? What didn't you like? anything I said. Devin White, I'm glad you brought that up. No splash plays. He played fine. Uh, the bright, if you're a Devin White fan, the bright side is he captained a defense as a rookie in his first game that only gave up one touchdown. I mean, you really can't ask for more than that. And he was third in the team in tackles. I know you didn't sort of see like a tackle for loss, or you didn't see, sort of these singular plays. And I know that um thanks, Brent. Brent put in questions and comments down in the chat. Uh, and White got stiff arms, and then there was a penalty stacked on top of that when the Bucks really needed to stop late in the game, and the Niners ended up getting a field goal um, to go up by 6. Yeah, to go up by 6, and everyone's sort of pointing at that, but I thought Devin White played fine. I mean, yeah, no, he's not Ray Lewis yet, or it's just he was fine. Like the defense gave up 7 points. Like I don't know, and he was third in the team in tackles, so I thought he was okay. What happened to Mike Edwards? Well, I don't know. I think that he did. Only thing I really saw him, he had a pass breakup. Uh, I was late in the game on third down. I think it's when they had to come in and kick the field goal, so that was good. I think it was because he missed so much time during the preseason because he did. Like he got hurt like right after he was hurt before the Steelers game, played the Steelers game, and then was hurt right after that, and like didn't even practice until after after the Dallas games. So, they're putting Darian Stewart in there a lot, sort of to ease him in there. But I thought Edwards was fine. I wasn't really looking specifically for him, but I thought he was good. I didn't have any problem with Edwards. Um, do you agree this is the worst first half for us since? Sorry, it's hard to read these as it's scrolling. Since a year or two ago when the Bears tore us apart. No, because this is something I talked about. The defense are going to keep us in games. Like, hey, by the way, it was a crappy first half. It was hard to watch. It was really clunky. We had the ball like the whole first quarter, didn't have the ball at all in the whole second quarter, evened out to be sort of like 50-50 by halftime. But guess what? We were winning. We were winning 7-6 at halftime. So, I mean, as bad as it was, we were winning. And why? It's because the defense kept us in the game and actually, scored the touchdown for us. So, it's it wasn't fun to watch, but that's just sort of that's what good teams do. Even when you're playing bad, you go into halftime. I'm sure the Niners felt the way the Bucks played that they should have been up more by halftime. And how many times have you felt that as a Bucks fan? Man, we left a lot of points on the field and the game's over and you look up and you lost. And it's like all those times in the red zone, we didn't get in, we didn't get in. Well, this Buccaneers defense isn't gonna let a lot of people in the end zone. So, I thought it was fine, for game one and stuff. Uh, Devin White was basically invisible. Disagree, but whatever. Ren, would you rather see Mike Evans an active list than start? Would I rather see Mike Evans? Oh, I mean for today? No, he had to play. It was just. I think the lack of targets for Evans and Godwin just really had to do sort of possibly with the game plan and just how clunky it was. Like every time it felt the Bucks got a little momentum, there'd be a penalty. Be a good run and there'd be a penalty. We have a touchdown, there'd be a penalty. It was a rough game to watch. I found myself a lot more frustrated than I thought I would be for this game. Because every time I look at the score, I'm like, okay, well we're winning, or okay, that's not so bad, or okay, but it just kept waiting for the offense to sort of pick up a couple of first downs, and it felt like the only time they did that was in the first quarter when they ended up scoring 2 touchdowns that didn't count, and then finally fumble the ball away, and then sort of late in the fourth. Like everything else was just pulling teeth to even just sort of get the quarterback center exchange. Suda and Vea played well. Thank you. Ren, this is a short week benefit or an issue for this team. Um, I don't know. For me as a fan, it's a benefit because now I don't have to sort of stew on this until Sunday. Uh, but Carolina's having their problems. Basically Christian McCaffrey carried them. Um, uh, Late in the game to even get back in it, and their defense gave up a lot of rushing yards. So um, I wish it was at home so we didn't have to travel, but it's so early. Everyone's still going to be fresh, and with a game like this, it's kind of nice. I would think that it almost makes it like a throwaway. You've heard that saying before, where it's like, you know what, we're just going to burn the tape, not worry about it, and we're going to go on to Carolina because the things that were wrong were just dumb. It wasn't like the guys didn't know where they were. It wasn't like a communication breakdown. It was, near the end, like late in the third and the fourth quarter, it's like all of a sudden the Bucks started missing tackles. That we really needed that stop, and all of a sudden now we start missing tackles, and I really think the game is going to be played a lot cleaner as long as we don't have that same officiating crew because those guys were really ticky tacky, and they're ticky tacky for both sides. I'm not saying it's the reason the Bucks lost at all because they screwed the Niners just as bad they screwed us. They just wouldn't let them play football. It got to the point if someone threw a pass it was incomplete, I was looking for a flag, and if someone ran the ball and it got some yardage or threw a pass and it was complete, I was looking for a flag because it seemed to be if it wasn't a run up the middle for like 3 to -2 yards, it seemed like there was a flag. So it was just I thought it was poorly officiated all the way around. Um, let's see. So was it me or were just the receivers not able to find separation? I'm with you. And I seemed that it felt like to me that it was sort of the play calling. Like I said, there wasn't a lot of slants, crosses. I think there was only like one screen pass to a running back. I know they tried it late with Dare. Obviously, that didn't work out, but that's how yeah, it was just like it was just so I know I keep saying it clunky, 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 but it just was. It was they couldn't get into a rhythm at all. Like they couldn't go 2 plays without a penalty. It just felt like that. And it was just like, it's like, can't we just get some, couldn't move the chains and sort of wear the defense down. Now it happened sort of late in the fourth when they started running Rojo. But then we got in the red zone and it sort of stalled. And when the field shrinks up like that, it's a lot harder to run the ball up the middle. Especially against that defensive front. Um, let's see. Both you guys clog up the middle. Pressure from Jimmy G. Do you think it will be 3 more for G for VH3 to get his next pick? No, I don't. VH3 is going to lead the team in picks. With more than one. Um, Carlton Davis is going to lead the team in pass breaks up. Will Golson is going to lead the team in batted down passes. Dominican Sue is going to lead the team in tackle for losses. And probably Shaq Barrett's going to lead the team in sacks because he's off to a 1-0 start. So we'll see. We'll see. Did Murphy Bunting getting any burn today? I didn't see him. I didn't see Murphy Bunting in at all. In the ref's defense, it was their first game too. Yeah, okay. I mean, but it was just it felt like they were micromanaging, like they were set out there with like they knew what they're gonna look for and they were gonna call that. And that's what they're gonna I mean, they called all kinds of stuff. I mean, they called illegal formation, which means uh the tackle was set too far back in a pass set for the 49ers. I mean, come on now. It's like you never see that call. And then they call the intentional grounding on Jameis. Like you never see that. Like you know what he's doing. Like okay, he's not out of the tackle box, but he really wasn't in danger of being sacked. I mean, it's just like Bruce Arians said after the game presser, like some quarterbacks are never going to get called on that. Like never, ever. And we know who they are. They're never going to get called on that. And it was just they were just too ticky tacky. It was weird. Do you think it's crazy to be thinking about the QB in the first round next year early, like people overreacting are? Yes, it is crazy. And that's what sort of made me sad about how it was so set up for Jameis. 2 minutes, 15 seconds, one timeout, 75 yards, score a touchdown, win the game. And just, it didn't even get a chance to get started. It was the first play was pick six. And it was like, you got to be kidding me. It's like, it was all set up for you. And Yeah, it disappointed me, but then of course my brain went right to, oh Jesus, Twitter. Like, oh my God, like here we go. And I still haven't really been on a lot. I kind of stay off Twitter during, Sundays and now Saturdays as well, because Florida State's not winning. So my whole entire Twitter feed is people crying about Florida State. So yes, it's too early to worry about Jameis Winston in the draft. In your opinion, is Rojo the starter now? No. I still think it's going to be a 50-50 take. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to get Rojo started earlier next game. And he might start next game, but I don't think it's like Rojo's going to start and Peyton Barber is going to disappear, right off into the sunset. I still think it's going to be a 1-2 punch, um, at least for the foreseeable future. Uh, what do you think it would take for BA to say screw it and take back the play calling? I don't know. I thought about that. I kind of, with the offense only getting like one touchdown, and I almost tweeted out like, the BA play calling watch clock starts now. Like, clock starts now, but um I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of that. BA's press conference said, "Oh yeah, Leftwich called a great game," but we'll see. It's there was a couple of shots in the sideline where BA and Leftwich were right next to each other, and it felt like BA. It looked like sometimes BA was coaching Leftwich, and like, hey, what are you going to call here? What are you going to call here? And I'm sure he stepped in sometimes. So I'm not. I really don't want to get into so I really don't care about it right now. I don't want to get that to be a story at all. And I really don't want to do it after one game. It's like, you know, well, who called the play in the fourth quarter, on fourth and like that fourth down play, where they had the field goal unit out and they pulled them off after the penalty. Like, who called that play? Was it Leftwich or was it BA? Who do we blame? You know, and you don't blame either of them. You blame Jameis because he threw the ball late. It doesn't matter who really called it, but I don't want to get it. I don't want it to get there now. I don't want it to get there now. Do you see a point in the season where OJ grabs a tight end one spot from Bray? Bray still looks better to me. OJ is tight end one. Um, End of story. I'm not gonna talk about if he looked better than Braid or not. It's just OJ's tight end one and will be until he's not a Buccaneer. I think Rojo deserves to start the next game. It doesn't matter because they're gonna switch out. Like if Rojo's out on the field, play one for the offense, that doesn't mean he's gonna get the ball more. It just doesn't. You know, BA said he's going to ride the hot hand, and obviously Rojo had the hot hand, so he got the carries late. Yep, the hot hand, hot hand. Okay, I mean when he became, or if it looks like Braid is still his favorite. Okay, unless he has. Did I skip your question? Sorry, probably had to. I'm sorry. Retype it. Going on 45. I'm gonna call us at like 45 minutes. I'm gonna have a lot of editing to do because I've got this of me just going yeah, looking at the chat room. And once again, guys, this is only gonna happen twice. It's tonight and it's going to be the Giants game. And I think for sure uh after sort of struggling here trying to interact with you guys, I'm gonna have a guest on, and we'll be able to go. We'll be a back and forth with that person, and then of course take questions from the chat room. Real good running backs don't see the sidelines. Is it still too early to think about QB next round? Yes, talked about that. I.e. Bucks Nation's here. Uh, my field goal at kickoff. I don't know what time it was. Not a question, but the move Jameis had to make, Bosa looked silly and something wanted to gif. Okay, I don't want to do gif. OJ had a bad game. Yes, OJ did have a bad game. Why not call a QB sneak from the shotgun on fourth and goal? Jameis is a big boy. I was sort of wondering why they went with a pass, especially since they were running the ball well. I was hoping for my bunch big formation and then get Eau Claire to flare out and get one of those, 4 touchdowns I thought he was going to get this year because I think they're going to go big, and you got Evans and Howard and Godwin or maybe Braid out there with Eau Claire to be in tight, be a blocker, and he's just going to squirt out and be totally uncovered. And I think it's going to happen like 3-4 times this year. I think Eau Claire's going to get like 4 touchdowns, and I was hoping that's what they were going to do. But it was the Bucks did enough to win. The defense definitely did enough to win. It was just those two terrible throws by Jameis and the rest. And the rest got in the way for both teams. They just did. It was a it was just one of those things where when you watch the game, it's going to be shown like how not to ref an NFL game. And I'm not blaming the loss on the refs because, like I said, they screwed the 49ers just as bad, but they made it not fun to watch. And I can understand if these penalties were egregious, but they weren't. They were like, eh, when San Francisco had one of their touchdowns that was called back, I think it was the first one, and the guy ran around the end sort of untouched. Like I would have never called that hold on Whitehead. Did he have him? Yeah, he had him by his shoulder a little bit, but as soon as Whitehead turned, he let go, and the running back was already by him. Lucky for us, but I wouldn't have called that. Like I said, the first dot penalty, Jameis's, uh, you know, um, intentional grounding, and that's loss of down. Like we're in the red zone now, all of a sudden we're back back on the 19-yard line. It's second down. It's like you're just making the game not fun to watch. And like I said, they weren't egregious penalties. Carlton Davis's penalty, when Jimmy G threw it deep and they just sort of bumped into each other as the guy was running by Carlton and he was getting in trail position and he just and Jimmy G missed him like by 10 yards and it's like that penalty and it's like, well, yeah, it is, but I mean, you can't play aggressive cornerbacking with that officiating crew because it was so ticky tacky. It was bad. It was bad. It was bad. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up here. I'm gonna get some of these last couple of questions. Mm. See, are you a little concerned with OJ's fumbles or just bad luck? I am concerned with OJ's fumbles. I don't think it's ever going to pop up as sort of an issue, but he does drop the ball more than I would like, and so does Chris Godwin. To be perfectly honest with you, Barber fumbled the ball twice today. That wasn't good. Dare fumbled the no, Dare's was stripped after he was down, but they were just it wasn't crisp on offense, and it could have been a lot worse with those fumbles. I mean, a quarterback center exchange like that, that happened. Jameis got the ball knocked out one time in the pocket, like that happened. It just wasn't sharp. Um, but it's sort of like not one thing you could point to. It's like the one thing, like what, like of all the bad things that can happen, they all happen one time. It wasn't like, okay, it was like one fumble that we didn't get. It was like, it was just weird. It was a weird, clunky game. I mean, we still should have won it, and I'm not happy about the way it went, but it was just, I'm kind of, honestly, I'm kind of just sort of stashing this as like, oh well, like, say la vie. It was just crappy. Do you think being down by 6 instead of 3 set Jameis up for trying too hard? No, no, but it would been a lot better if he was down by 3, like, and that was BA's fault. It was. What are the biggest things you're looking for the Carolina to come out with the win in a short week? Score more points than the Panthers. I think that'll probably do it for us. Rojo starting over Barber. No, they're both going to be 50-50. I would have loved to see an old school play where they give Sue the ball. Okay, fine. Fourth and goal play wasn't bad. Winston was late on the throw. That's why that's why it was deflected. Agreed. The Bucs are going to Carolina as long as we keep the turnovers down. I think we can win any of these games. And again, it's because of the defense. Like the defense is going to keep us in games this year. They just are. It's they just are. Like you saw it today. Like we had no business being in that game, let alone leading at halftime. None. And we were. Like that's when the offense struggles, that's what you're going to get. The defense are going to keep us in every single game. They're that good. I'm telling you. Todd Bowles defense is going to be fun to watch. Oh, and when Brett said something about I see the defense gave up, and I'm seeing a lot of tendencies. I have no idea what he's talking about. Like, no, like that actually made me mad when I heard him say that. Like, I was mad. Like reading a stupid, dumb Joe Bucks fan article. Like, I can't believe they printed this. Like, that's how mad I was. So I'm sure we'll talk about it on a Tuesday night, and it'll be out Wednesday because I just don't understand what his point was. Um, where those penalties for holding seem legit seem flimsy. Yes, agreed. Heard that as well. Flanner fans were way more loud, sad, and appalling. The one thought that brought it TDs back. Okay. All right, guys, that's it. Sorry the show was a little rough. I'm gonna have to do some editing. It'll be out shortly, but thank you for all that joined. Our numbers have really gone up. Even from last year during the off season, they shot up by like 200, 300, 500. So we're averaging about 300 more people an episode than we were even during the season last year during the off season. I'm looking at it now. There's we're around 50 people in the chat room, and that's a lot. You know, for us, that's about double normally what we get. So some big things are probably going to come for us. We're in some negotiations with this and that, but we've got some more things planned for you. You know, be ready for the guests on Tuesday. You know, the quote unquote experts, the guys in the room. Um, be sure to get your emails out to the pewtercast@gmail.com. We're doing that show again, of course. We've already put one out. And then the Buck in the News one, you'll get that on Saturday morning to sort of, think about what we're thinking about the Carolina game, and it will be every week, and the injury report and all the stuff that's come out. So we'll talk about all the press conferences and see what's going on. So thank you everybody for joining me. Sorry it was a little rough. I'm a little hyped up on coffee, and for some reason I lost my voice like right in the middle of talking. So if you have any questions, you can always tweet me at Rendax, REN_DAXT. If you don't want to put it out on the Twitterverse, of course, you can slide into my DMs and I'll talk Buccaneers football with you there too. And of course, Brent runs the Pewtercast Twitter feed. You can get in touch with him there as well. And that'll be it. Just let you know, Lane Johnson, there's no W in my name. It's not Wen, it's Ren, but I get it. Sometimes it sounds like with a WREN. Anyway, everybody, thanks for joining us. I'm going to put this out on the pod soon, and we will be back at you Wednesday. Well, we might even go earlier. Might have to go earlier because it's a short week. Anyway, you're getting, we're back to 4 pods a week. You'll be getting them. This will be here for you tomorrow morning. And so, yeah, Rendex signing off. Talk to you soon.